If there was one thing the world was asking for, it was for one more podcast about CrossFit. Well, here we are anyways. This is the Silverback Media Podcast, where we share the stories of the everyday CrossFitter, so that more people are encouraged and empowered to try it themselves. Here's your host and everyday CrossFitter, Marco Mejia.
What is happening, Silverback Media crew? Happy Friday. I'm sorry, I meant Friday. But you know I'm excited. I'm always excited, so that's no surprise, right? Well, we are back this week with another great episode. On this week, I have Matt Howell. Matt is a member at CrossFit North Scottsdale. He has been doing CrossFit for about 12 or 13 years, but Matt is also a very experienced mountaineer. And earlier this year, Matt actually summited Mount Everest, which is an extremely incredible accomplishment. So I have him on to talk about that experience, how he got into mountaineering, how he got into CrossFit, and how those two played together. Before we get to that conversation with Matt, remember to do all the stuff for the robots: like, share, subscribe, follow, put it on social media, send it to your friends. Let's keep this thing rolling, keep this message spreading, keep these stories going around to all the people that need to hear it. And now with that, that is 17 down and 10,000 to go. And let's go talk to Matt.
All right, Matt, welcome to the show. I know we got a chance to sit down and talk a little bit, a while back. We talked about specifically your climb of Everest. So now, wanted to have you back on and talk more about your background. Obviously, we'll still talk about Everest too, right? There's some more questions and more details that I wanted to go over, but wanted to learn a little bit more about, how you got into CrossFit and things. So, so let's start way back at the beginning. What kind of things did you get into? When you were younger? Were you active as a kid, involved in sports?
Yeah, so played a lot of backyard football at a friend's house growing up, which led to, flag football and then Pee Wee League. And then when I got to high school, I was too small to play football.
Oh, really?
And I had broke my arm a month right before the two-a-day practices start freshman year. So, I didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
So I joined the wrestling team.
Oh,
right?
nice. Okay.
And I like individual sports, and that's why I like, CrossFit and climbing so much.
Nice.
So I was a wrestler for 4 years at Roosevelt High School in Des Moines, Iowa.
Nice. Oh, that's big. That's big wrestling.
Big wrestling.
Big wrestling.
Yeah.
Big
I wasn't in
too.
the upper tier by
Yeah.
any means. I wasn't terrible. But
Yeah.
I was kind of middle of the road. But it taught me a lot about discipline, right? Especially, in a lot of different aspects. You have to make weight, right? And so the discipline that it takes to not eat and wear sweatshirts to the workout so you sweat probably wasn't great for my health, but it taught me a lot about discipline.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, that is the hardest sport in the world, because you have 3 2-minute periods, and the 2 minutes are all at 100%.
Yeah. And wait, it's a 1 minute rest in between, right? Is it just a 1 minute rest?
I don't think
It
it's
maybe
1
not even
minute.
that much,
I think
right?
it's kind of all right, stand up, share. Maybe it is a minute.
Is it a minute?
It's
Okay.
not very long.
Yeah, right. It's barely enough to catch a deep breath, talk to a coach for a second. Yeah. Yeah, I did wrestling for 1 year in middle school.
Did you?
And obviously, I grew up in Florida, so not exactly big wrestling country necessarily compared to Iowa or the Midwest. But it was, the amount of work that it takes to be prepared for, like you said, right, 3 2-minute rounds. So you've got 6 minutes of wrestling if you're actually going the whole time. I got pinned most of the time, so I didn't have to worry about that too much. I think I won 1 match in my
We
whole
need to
first year.
roll around for a couple of minutes after this.
Oh,
podcast.
I don't know. That'll be the behind the scenes, right? Is it CrossFit grappling? But yeah, and I remember vividly seeing, all the people trying to make weight the morning of the meet. They're wearing the sweatshirts. They're, chewing gum, trying to spit, and get anything they possibly can.
Eating ice
out of their
cubes
body.
for nutrition.
Unbelievable. Again, like you said, not the healthiest thing by any means, but the discipline and the routine of having to meet a goal like that you learn something from that for sure.
You know what I can't believe is that my parents actually allowed me to do that, right? If I was a parent, I'd be like, just wrestle a weight up.
Yeah.
Right? But the thing is with wrestling is there's somebody else in the weight up that's cutting to get down there, so they might be 7 or 8 pounds times heavier than you.
Yeah.
And so if you're wrestling the weight up, you're not going to be on varsity.
Right.
So that's why you have to cut the weight down. And
Yeah.
but
I was lucky enough I never had to deal with that specific problem because in the weight class that I was in 8th grade, right, when I did it.
Mm-hmm.
In that same weight class, we had a senior on the team that was a 3-time defending state champion. So they're like, well, he's not going down to make room for me, the 8th grader.
Right.
So I got to go, the next open weight class was the one above it. So I actually got to wrestle up a weight class, which
probably
I didn't have to worry about cutting weight.
That's probably why you got pinned a lot.
I got pinned a lot. And my parents still give me crap about this. My very first match was against a girl, and she pinned me in about 25 seconds. It did not take, I had no clue what was going on.
Is that what
I'm like,
happened to you?
Yeah. And it all went downhill from there. Let's just put it that way. So
You want a hug?
maybe after. And then we'll get into the sparring session.
Yeah. Grapple for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So then after that, so that was high school. What about in college? Did you
Partying.
party?
100% partying.
Did you stay close to home?
I was a couple hours from
Okay.
home.
Okay, gotcha.
And when I went back home to visit, I would stay at friends' house and not let my parents know that I was
really?
there. And so I could just party in Des Moines. But honestly, no. I mean, I was on the wrong path for after high school. I mean, it started in high school, but for probably about the next 15 years or so, like, I didn't really do any exercise.
Really? Okay.
Nothing. Like I got to the point where I was smoking 2 packs of Marlboro Reds a day.
Really? Oh my goodness.
And
Do you think any of that was like a, I don't know, I guess a reverse effect from all of the exercise and discipline related to wrestling, or was it just kind of like, nah, you just enjoyed having fun?
I like to have fun too much.
Yeah.
And it turned into not fun. And so like, I don't know, it's in my early 30s, late 20s.
Okay.
Was when I started to get back into shape. So there was a New Year's resolution I had when I was about 32, I think.
Okay.
And it was, I'm going to quit smoking by the 4th of July. So I made a New Year's resolution on January 1st, so I'm going to quit smoking on the 4th of July.
And how? So you'd been, I think you said 2 packs a day.
By the time July 4th, it was 2 packs a day. Before that, it was like normally like a pack a day. But we started smoking like when we were kids, like 13, 14 years old.
So this is probably like a 15, 20 year.
Yeah, off and on.
Off and on.
But for 10 years of just like heavy duty. Like, there were times where I was so addicted to nicotine, I'd have like a thing of dip and smoking at the same time.
Wow.
It was disgusting. And so I had this New Year's resolution to quit smoking. And so on the 4th of July, I should have wrote this down somewhere because I don't know exactly when it was. I quit cold turkey.
Really?
Cold turkey. I've never had a cigarette since. It's been almost 20 years.
Holy crap.
Without having a cigarette.
Dude, that's impressive. That's wild.
And then my friend Mike said, well, now that you don't smoke, let's go hike Camelback. And I'm like, so he was a perfect person to start getting back into exercising with, right? Because we went up the Choya side and we got to the beginning of the saddle. So just that first piece.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can't go anymore. He's like, oh, let's just turn around and go back. But it felt like it was huge to me just to get to that point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Then the next time we went, we got like to the far end of the saddle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mike, I can't do it anymore. It's like, no problem.
So you're
and
like
then
building a little bit.
Then it was like the 3rd or 4th time before I got all the way to the top of Camelback.
What was that feeling like when you first got to that? I mean, after a few times.
I don't really remember.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so long ago. But I remember the process it took to get up there. And I think if I probably could have got up the first time, but it would have been, like, I would have felt like shit, right? And I wouldn't have wanted to do it again.
Yeah, right.
And it was from that point I joined a gym, like a big box gym.
Okay.
And started, regular workouts.
Yeah.
And I wasn't smoking anymore. I wasn't drinking anymore.
Yeah.
So
was
that's
there
where it started.
Was there anything that sparked the want to quit smoking? Was it just like kind of a, hey, I think I'm done with this? Or
I didn't want to die of lung cancer.
Fair enough, okay.
Like, if I would have kept smoking like that, I could possibly be dead by now, because that was 20 years. If I was smoking pack and a half, 2 packs a day,
Yeah.
I probably would have at least had a couple of heart attacks by now.
So, I mean, I guess a weird way to ask this question, right? But did you have any scares with that at that point? Or was it just like, because I'm sure it was probably in your head that time. That's like, well, if I keep this going. And
Not
then
with smoking.
what was it about hiking that drew you to it? I mean, obviously the first time you said it was just, hey, your buddy asked you if you wanted to go. You're done smoking, right? You want to go try this thing. But was there something about that activity itself that kept you coming back to it? Or was it?
I kind of like the duration of it a lot.
Yeah.
I like, more endurance type sports for some reason. And it's something that you can do with friends. It's something you can do by yourself. I find that, particularly when I'm like walking up Camelback by myself, I can process a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's meditative, right? It's like, it's almost like EDM therapy, not EDM.
EDM's something different. That's the music
something
that I get into.
something different. But it's almost like therapy for me, right? Like, so I think that's what drew me to it initially. But it's not like after I first climbed or hike Camelback, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to start hiking and someday I'm going to climb Everest.
Yeah.
That's not how it happened.
Yeah. But once you got to Camelback, then was it like, all right, let's see, what's the next peak? Or it was, no?
No, I mean, that didn't start until about 10 years later.
Really?
I'm like, oh, I would do Camelback just casually.
Oh, okay. So that was just kind of a part of the exercise routine at that point, yeah.
You might do Camelback once a week on the weekends, and then, 3 or 4 days a week go to LA Fitness or something.
Yeah. And what did those workouts look like at that point? Was that just kind of like your kind of quote unquote typical?
Yeah, typical
gym workouts.
The elliptical, bench press, of course.
Well,
curls.
Yeah. You got to look good when you're hiking
these
Camelback.
things, these things, these ones, these ones.
Not too much lower body, not too many squats.
I don't know. Oh, the sled.
Sled. Okay.
The sled.
Yeah, nice.
Just because that's just the stuff that like makes you look good.
Yeah.
So that was for that's where it all started, right? Mm-hmm. But I had no plans to ever become a mountaineer.
Yeah. That's the technical term. I guess I didn't know. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So at any point through there, because you said that was probably like a 10-year stretch between like that first Camelback before you started really thinking about it. Yeah. Had you heard about CrossFit at all at that point or through that stretch of time?
Yeah. So I can tell you how I started CrossFit.
Yeah.
It was like totally by accident. I was going on a work wingding down in Florida, and on the way there I stopped in Detroit to stay with my sister and her family. They live in Belleville.
Okay, wait, hold on. So you were already living out here?
I was living here. The work boondoggle was in Florida.
Okay.
And on the way I stopped in Detroit.
Okay, got it.
To stay with my sister and her family.
When you said on the way, and I was like picturing, I'm like, hold on.
It's not really. It's not. It was just, it was out of the way, but it was on the way, sort of.
Okay.
It was on the way for me, and I had previously heard about CrossFit, and I'm like, I thought it was just a bunch of hardo, people working out, big muscle-bound people, and I'm like, that's just not for me. That's stupid. Whatever.
Was that just based on did you know people that were doing it?
No, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
It was just
some crazy thing.
It was just, I was just judging, right? And my sister's like, oh, we started doing CrossFit up here, and why don't you should come with me and Eric, it's my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And we'll do a Saturday morning class. It's a team workout. And
I'm
like, okay, that sounds, try it.
Yeah.
Right. I thought I was in okay shape, and so I did, and I can remember that like one of the movements was toes to bar.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that looks easy, right? And I got up there and I couldn't do any toes to bar. And so we were doing like toes to rig or whatever.
Yeah.
And but it was fun, right? Like
Yeah.
I was partnered up with my brother-in-law, because we at that point we were both like at the same level.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun. It was more fun than going to LA Fitness and doing the elliptical and doing bench press and doing curls.
Yeah. How long had you been kind of doing the LA Fitness routine before you
That
tried
was-
CrossFit that first time?
Probably 7 years. Or
Oh,
so.
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
quite a while, and so I enjoyed it so much that when I got back to Phoenix after that Florida trip, that's when I looked into joining the gym, and the first gym I went to was Cactus,
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
one that Kevin Cherrick owned and operated for a couple of years.
Okay.
Down in Old Town. I think it's a rug store now or something. and it, from there on, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What was it? Because that first experience, I mean, that being a partner workout, I'm sure made it really nice because you're like,
Right.
okay, cool. Me and especially it being your brother-in-law too, you're like, okay, this is kind of nice. We're at the same level. I'm sure if you had gone with him and he had been, doing it for 10 plus years, crushing every movement, it might have been a little bit of a different experience.
Right. Well, I wouldn't have been teamed up with him. I don't think.
You'd have been like, you know what, maybe next time. But what was it that you loved about it? Like once you got back and you started going on a more regular basis, right, to Cactus, what was it about it that kept you coming back and drew you to it? Hey, quick interruption from me. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you are, I have a favor to ask of you. The main way that this thing can continue to spread is through word of mouth. So if you're enjoying this episode, send it to someone or share it with someone that may benefit from it or enjoy it as well. Leave a comment, drop a 5-star review, follow the show, share about it on social media. That's the main way that we can help get this message out to others so we can continue to spread this, okay? I'd really appreciate it if you do that. And now let's get back to the show.
I think there were a lot of things. I think, not to sound cliche, but community was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And by that, I just mean I made friends that first day at Cactus that I'm still friends with today that go to this gym.
Yeah.
Right? Like John and Mikhail and Brad and Megan. And who else was down there? I think Rolf was down there.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
A bunch of us. So
You guys have all moved kind of a couple.
yeah, we all
gyms at a
moved
time.
together.
Yes, things
Yeah,
have
and we
moved
went to
around.
Hammer after that, or Infinite Strength or whatever. Then came up here. It keeps getting further away from my house.
But hey, you keep coming. You keep coming. Back.
Keep coming, even if it's flooding outside. So that was one thing, right? Just the friendships I've met along the way. I'd say number 2, and these are not necessarily in order of importance, but number 2 is doing CrossFit changed the way my body looked faster than anything else I've ever done.
Yeah.
Right? All of those years in, going to the big box gyms, LA Fitness, I did more within like the first year of CrossFit to make my body look better. So
Yeah.
So vanity.
But that's a piece of the puzzle, right?
It
It's
is.
like I'm not gonna say for better or worse. Like a part of it is people will get into an exercise routine because maybe they don't like the way they look, they don't like certain things, and they
Right.
want to change the way they look. And yeah, I mean,
Right.
I would I'm biased, right? I'd say objectively, CrossFit is going to be the best way to get those results as you can
Quite.
compared to
Right.
other things. A whole bunch of other assumptions aside, but if you're purely just looking at like what the methodology, the program itself compared to other options, like that's going to be your best bet. So
Yeah.
that's like you say vanity, but that's a reality for probably most people that get into it, right? They're like, I
Yeah.
want to look different. It's
Yeah.
like, cool, come on in.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when I first started, I thought I was in good shape, right?
Yeah.
I can camelback once or twice a week, and I was going to, LA Fitness 2-3 times a week, but it kicked my butt. And one of the first workouts I did at Cactus was Fran.
Oh no.
And I couldn't do a pull-up yet, so they were jumping pull-ups, and I was probably just using the bar, or maybe 65 pounds for the thrusters. And it was intense, right? Everybody's like yelling, come on, go, go, go. So, that kind of got me going. But I think just the endorphins that are released, right, that make you feel good. That was part of it. And then, the final part of it, and I think I mentioned this the previous time you interviewed me, is while I'm doing these workouts, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about all of the problems that I think I have, that are going to happen or did happen, or trying to solve things, right? I'm just trying to do the next rep.
Yeah, right.
And to me, as a guy who used to partake in a lot of mind-altering substances, that is a safe way for me to alter my mind, right?
Yeah.
I kind of I can get off the earth for a spin, right? And not think about anything else, right? It alters my mind for that short period of time. And for me, that's like a drug.
Oh, I mean, even, just a short, it's an hour class, but even if the workout's 10 minutes.
It's the workout.
Fran is a great example of it, right? There, for that, 5 to 8 minutes, some people shorter, some people longer.
Yeah.
There's no chance you're going to be like, man, did I forget that thing on my grocery list? It's like, can I survive and hold on to this barbell for one more?
Exactly. You're not thinking about anything else. And that's what drugs do too, right?
Yeah.
You're just thinking about getting your next hit or whatever.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that. I had someone else on the episode. It was episode 9. She used to come here, and then she actually just moved for a job opportunity. But she talked about that same thing. So she went through a very rough experience. She talks about in the episode, and she said she went to a therapist to kind of help work through that. And she said the therapist actually told her, go do I want you to find some sort of exercise routine and do a workout that is so hard that you can't, how'd she word it? Oh, something that you could get mad at, was the way she worded it. And she said she tried a few different things, but then eventually once she tried CrossFit, she said she was like, oh, that's what she must have been talking about. Like the counselor didn't specifically say CrossFit, but it was more like, look for this kind of feeling. She said it was the first hour she didn't think about everything else that was going on in her life at that time. So it's cool to hear that, similar experience for you too. Right?
I mean, that for me, that's the main thing. That's why I keep coming back. Even though, I'm getting older and I'm getting older people injuries, I still try to do it as much as I can, and I have to scale a lot now. It's just, that's part and parcel of getting older, right?
Yeah.
And I can't compare myself to the younger people.
Yeah.
I still fall into that though. I'm like, God, how did they beat me by 3 minutes? I'm like, oh wait, they're 15 years younger than me or 20 years younger than me.
How do you feel that once you started doing CrossFit then, how did that change or impact or improve your mountaineering? Because did you keep up with the routine of going up Camelback a couple times a week? Was that
when I started doing CrossFit? Yeah. So I always like to hike Camelback once twice a week, even when I was doing CrossFit. Even still, to this day, although I'm not hiking Camelback right now, it's too hot out. But overall, it improved my strength, right? And if you improve your strength, I feel like that helps with working on improving your endurance for, not like you need a lot of endurance to do Camelback, but the other mountains I have climbed take a lot more endurance. So, but just the building up the strength, like my lower body is, got very strong because of CrossFit.
Yeah.
From squatting and stuff.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. So then when did you start looking at maybe going after some bigger mountains? So you said it was about a 10-year stretch from that first Camelback hike. In that time was when you got into CrossFit. So now 10 years later, you're starting to kind of explore some different ones.
So
is that something you started looking at? Did you meet someone that maybe said, hey, you want to try this bigger one, and then it just snowballed from there? No pun intended. But
well, yeah. So good question. I got married when I was 39.
Okay.
And my wife is very athletic. She was a competitive skier, and her family was from Colorado. she went to high school in Colorado, and she had always wanted to try mountaineering. So when we got married in 2012, we took a trip over to Southern California, and we hiked Mount Whitney.
Okay.
That was 2013, so that was about 12 years ago. And Mount Whitney is the tallest mountain in the lower 48. It's not technical, but for our first bigger mountain, it was difficult.
What's the height on that one?
14.5.
And what's the height of Camelback, just for comparison's sake?
2,000, I think.
Oh, really?
But you're starting at like 1,000 feet, so it's maybe 2,200. But Phoenix is not at sea level. We're like 1,000 feet above sea level, so you're only climbing like 1,200.
Like 1,200 feet. Okay.
Yeah. So, like Mount Humphreys, that's 12.6.
Okay. Okay.
If you've ever done that. So Whitney is 14.5.
Oh wow! So that's a big.
It's a 14er.
So that's a big jump from, was Camelback still the biggest one?
Yeah.
You had climbed to that point?
No. We were hiking around like in altitudes at altitude in Colorado, but we were never really like peak bagging, right? We're just like, we'd go out for a hike. Might have done Humphreys before then, I don't remember.
Okay.
But I consider Mount Whitney is kind of where it all started.
The first big one?
Yes. And then we're like, well, we should take our honeymoon down to Argentina and climb Aconcagua.
Well, that's romantic.
Yeah, exactly. And Aconcagua is the tallest mountain outside of the Himalayas. So in the entire Western Hemisphere, it's almost 23,000 feet.
Ooh.
So
how soon after Whitney did you get ready to go do that one?
It's about a year.
A year? Okay.
No. As I was saying, it was like 6 months.
6 months. Okay. Okay.
So I think we did Whitney. We got married, did Whitney in the summer, and then went to Aconcagua, and we got smoked. Absolutely smoked, right? Neither of us made it. We both got severe altitude sickness.
Yeah.
And had to turn around. And then we went back 2 years later.
Okay.
And that's when we did Aconcagua again. Tanya did not make it, but I did on Christmas Day 2015.
Nice. Okay. How did that feel when you got to the top of it?
Oh man.
Yeah, if you could put us in your, describe it to us when you finally hit the summit.
Well, I was completely knackered, right? Because you're not wearing oxygen, and you're at almost 23,000 feet above sea level. And I remember feeling pretty emotional, but very out of it. We took our pulse ox at the top, and I think I was statting at like below 70 or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. But I got some great pictures, and we made it down safe.
That's awesome.
It was great, yes.
What did you do different in that 2 years between your first attempt at it to the second attempt? Was that more of just like, being better prepared with equipment? Did you change your exercise routine to be better prepared for it? Like what things do you think between that time did you change up to give yourself a better shot at making it the second time around?
Trying to remember. So I feel like I barely made it to the summit, right? I was going so slow. But I know that I changed some things. Here's some things I changed. Like I hired porters to pretty much carry all my stuff, so I didn't have like heavy packs.
Yeah, that's probably nice. Yeah.
But I incorporated more endurance type activities.
Okay.
For the first attempt, I was trying to remember. I know I was still doing a lot of CrossFit, and I was still doing a lot of CrossFit the second time, but a little bit less and a little bit more of doing stuff on Camelback.
Call it sports specific, so to
more
speak,
sports
right?
specific, yeah. And, trips to Colorado to do some hiking there, trips to Flagstaff to do Humphreys, and so just adding in more of that.
Okay.
But still very inadequate training for what we were doing.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it, right? But I learned every time I did another mountain.
Thankfully, it was enough to get you to the summit.
Just-
Barely, like you
just
said, it was
barely
by a
enough.
thread, but you made
Yeah.
it. You made it. So then, what was the next one? What was the next one from there? Because I know you've hit. We talked about it. You've hit a bunch of the big ones. Across,
Oh, we
right?
tried. It was Mount Rainier in Washington.
Okay. What's the height on that one?
14.4. It's actually shorter than Whitney, but it's one of the only year-round glaciated peaks in the lower 48.
Oh, interesting.
So it's really good practice to learn how to walk with a rope on a rope team
Okay.
with crampons and all of the gear, right? So you're learning how to walk as a team on a glaciated peak.
Yeah.
Which becomes more important the further along in my climbing resume that I go.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we got our dick slapped the first time we went up there. Absolutely. We get up to Camp Muir, which is the staging point for the summit, and the wind is absolutely howling. And there were when we went back and checked the weather stats for that day, there were gusts of like over 100 miles an hour. So we never left Camp Muir except to go down. So we only got to 10,000 feet. Like we didn't even get a chance to start up the crux of the mountain.
Does it normally gust that much, or was that just bad timing of like
It
when you
was
went up there?
Crazy.
Wow, goodness gracious.
So we went back like a year after. It was a year after or something, and maybe the first time we tried it was before we did Aconcagua the second. I forget the sequence, but we went back and we had a great day. And
Nice.
We did it.
Okay, cool.
And then what did we do? Oh, then Denali.
Okay, where's that? Is that
Denali's in
Africa?
Alaska.
Oh, in Alaska. Goodness gracious, why was I thinking Africa? Okay.
So Denali is in Alaska. It's the tallest mountain in North America.
Oh no.
A little over 20,000 feet.
Okay.
Absolutely beautiful mountain, an absolutely miserable mountain to climb. And I've trained to climb Denali 3 times, and I have 1 summit.
One time. It,
So the first time was in 2018, and we made it to high camp, and we got pinned down. The weather was absolute shit for like a week, and we pretty much ran out of food, and our permit was running out, so we had to just leave. We didn't even get a chance to step out of high camp.
goodness. Okay.
So we were stuck at like 17.5 for almost a week. Second time I trained for it it got canceled because of COVID. And then the third time I trained for it was 2021, and that's when I made it.
That's when you made it.
Made it to the top.
So each of these mountains, right? Basically all of them that you've said so far. But once you kind of or started traveling to hit these big ones, it's been multiple attempts.
It does.
And it's a lot of, I'm sure it's a lot that goes into even doing an attempt, right? You got to book flights, you got to take time off of work, you've got to
It's a lot.
arrange all this stuff. What was it that, I guess the simplest way to ask it, why did you keep going back to keep trying to?
Because I can't stand having unfinished business. That's the number one thing. It's like, it drives me nuts. Like every time after I was done with one of those mountains and didn't make it, I'm like, I'm never gonna go back to that mountain again. Matter of fact, when we got smoked on Aconcagua, I was giving away my gear to the porters at base camp. Like, I'm never gonna come back here
This
again.
is it, I'm done.
And then we're back there like 2 years later or something. And so, but it's really like just unfinished business.
Yeah.
Denali was really hard to go back to because it's so uncomfortable on that mountain.
Yeah.
It's so hard to climb.
Goodness. It's a weird parallel to CrossFit because it feels like sometimes there's certain movements you're on the cusp of like being able to do. Maybe it's toes to bar, like you said, that was your first one in that first workout, and you're like, I feel it. I'm right there. And it's just like gnaws at you. Like, all right, what do we got to do different? What do we got to do? And then and then you get it, and you're like, oh, it happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, kind of. I don't know. I'm not going to compare getting a totem bar to climbing Mount Denali necessarily, but I'm sure the feeling of it once you actually get it done, you're like,
maybe
okay,
to
that was
a
kinda
muscle
nice.
up.
Yeah, that might
No,
be.
there's parallels definitely to with all sports. But yeah, so I knew I could get Denali. I knew I could get Rainier, obviously. Aconcagua was the first one we had to repeat. I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to, if my body was going to be able to handle those altitudes.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun of mountaineering, is seeing how your body's going to react when you get to those altitudes where you can't breathe very well.
What was the weirdest symptom, or the thing that maybe you least expected that happened to you while you were climbing one of those?
Well, it was the worst was on Aconcagua, where I got such bad AMS is acute mountain sickness, which if left untreated is going to turn into either pulmonary edema or cerebral edema. There's really only one way to treat it, and that's to go down. You can get a shot of dexamethasone, which will help you not feel the symptoms, but you still need to go down.
Yeah.
So, but it feels like the worst flu you've ever had in your life. Like the worst time you ever had COVID.
Yeah.
Times 10.
And then you've got to go down a mountain.
And then you got to go down. And I remember, I felt so bad that I couldn't even put sunscreen on, and so my entire face got baked in the sun. And that was when I got down to base camp. I started giving all my gear away.
Yeah, because you're
I'm
done with it.
Stupid, man. Here, take my $500 parka. I'm never coming back.
But then that gnawing feeling of hey,
Yeah.
you tried it and it didn't happen. Came back. It came crawling back.
Came back and slayed it.
Yeah. So when did Everest become something that you thought about trying? You were like, I think I could make that. I think I could try it. I want to give it a shot. Because that last Denali trip, you said that was 2021, right?
It was 2021, and then we did Kilimanjaro. Tanya and I both did Kilimanjaro in 22.
Okay.
Around Christmas time, and then I wanted to climb in the Himalaya, and so I was going to go over and climb Mount Manaslu with our friend who took us to Kilimanjaro. His name was Noel Hanna. Noel had climbed Everest 10 plus times, K2, and he was a very accomplished mountaineer, and he was the guy we met on our first trip to Aconcagua.
Yeah.
And he met us in Africa, and he organized our whole climb of Kilimanjaro. And he was going to help me climb in the Himalayas. And I was going to meet him in Kathmandu that summer. And then we heard on the news that he had died climbing on Annapurna. So he did Annapurna without oxygen. Annapurna's probably 28,000 feet. And he summited and then sadly died in his sleep that night at high camp. So, but that was going to be my introduction to climbing the Himalayas. And so I searched around for some time and connected with one of my guides, Alan Davis, from he guided for RMI, Rainier Mountaineering International, and he was running a trip. He had been running a trip with another outfit to climb Ama de Blam, which is in Nepal.
Okay.
So you can see Everest from the top of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I said, there's no fucking way I'm climbing Ama de Blam, because Ama de Blam is straight. It's not that high. It's only about 22,500 feet.
Not that high.
But it's straight up.
Oh, so the technicality.
I'm like, Alan, I'm not a climber. I'm a mountaineer. I can walk up things, but I can't.
Oh, so this is full on climbing up this.
Yeah, it's not. You're not really using your hands much because you're Jumaring up on a rope.
Okay.
But the technical aspect of Ama de Blam is much higher than anything. And so I'm like, there's no way I can do this.
Yeah.
And he kind of would check in with me every once in a while, and finally I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so we went over. That was fall of 23.
Okay.
Climbed Ama de Blanc, first time, one and done.
Wow. Yeah, you're like, no more of these multiple
Yeah.
attempts, especially if you're going
Well,
over to Nepal this time. You're like, we're gonna
You
make
know
this
what's
one
amazing?
count.
The 3 climbs I did in Nepal, 100% success
Really?
rate.
Look at you.
Never happens to anybody. Like, so then I'm like, okay, and I kept my Everest plans. Everybody would be like, when are you gonna climb Everest? I'm like, I'm not. I don't plan to.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to put it out there, because I know everybody has their opinions about people that climb Everest, like whatever.
What do you mean? What do you mean by
That they're self-absorbed, that they're, type A personality pricks, that they're whatever. I know there's some people that think that.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't know. And I didn't want to jinx myself, right?
fair.
That was part of it too. Yeah. And I didn't want to worry my family. That was a big part. Because my mom would be like, when are you going to climb Everest? Or she would say, you're not going to climb Everest, are you? And I would say, no, of course not, Mom.
You're like, no, Mom. I know.
But Tanya knew, my wife knew.
Mm-hmm. Was she still going? Because I know when you first started out,
Yeah,
the first
well,
couple
she did
big ones,
she did Kilimanjaro with
okay.
me and Mo.
But once
She
you made
actually
it-
performed better than me on Kilimanjaro.
Really?
Yeah, I was struggling on Kilimanjaro
Yeah.
because just how quickly we went from 0 to almost 20,000 feet. We did it in like 4.5 days or something. I felt really sick at the top. So, but she's got a condition called Raynaud's.
Okay. Sounds familiar. Yeah.
It's a circulation issue. It's more common in women than it is in men.
Okay.
And it can be very dangerous in the cold.
I'm sure at the altitudes too. That's
And
probably yeah. Oh. Okay.
So when I started climbing the Himalayas, that was just me.
Yeah.
She did go and hike with me, and the next mountain I did was Manaslu, which was last fall
Okay.
of 24, and Manaslu was set up, and only Tanya and I knew this, was to see how my body would do above 8,000 meters. 8,000 meters, there's only 14 8,000 meter mountains in the world.
Okay.
They're all over there.
And 8,000. I mean, that's
26,000 feet
Okay, yeah.
if you're from the U.S.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to do the quick math.
26,000 feet. There's only 14 of them.
Okay.
Manaslu is one of them. I think it's number 8 or something. Everest is number 1, obviously. Manaslu is probably the easiest 8,000 meter peak you can climb. So a lot of people use it as practice to see. So that's what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but also to see how, get familiar with the oxygen systems, right? Because if you're at 8,000 meters, you're going to be wearing oxygen. You put on oxygen around 23,000 feet,
Okay.
which is the equivalent to the top of Aconcagua or Ama de Blanc.
So that would have been the first time that you would have needed to do it to continue a climb, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the idea was, if I feel good and I make it and it doesn't feel dangerous, then I feel like I have earned the right to give Everest a try.
Yeah. Then you're like, yeah.
Because let's face
keeping your
it,
cards
man,
close to the vest. You're
Yeah.
like, let's stair step it and get to that point,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
And thankfully, I had the resources to do it, and a team behind me at work that supported me and
Yeah.
covered me while I was gone. And Manaslu, first time, one and done.
Yeah. How long did that take from when you started up the mountain to when you hit the summit?
Maybe 5 weeks. 5 weeks probably door to door.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
The climb, we actually did the climb really quick, like once we got to base camp. Maybe a door to door was only like 4 weeks. And Tanya, by the way, she trekked with us to base camp.
Okay.
And then she helicoptered out back to Kathmandu.
Gotcha. Okay.
It might have only been 2 weeks once we got to base camp.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So we did that one really quick. We were the first, I think, the second group to summit.
Oh goodness. Okay. Nice. Awesome.
So then it was Everest after that, right?
Yeah.
I felt like I had accumulated the experience that I could safely try it. And I felt like I knew what I needed to do to train to get it, and it included 0 CrossFit.
Well, I know you were, because you were doing, I think I remember being in class with you on whatever your last day of CrossFit was before you went to your more specific training leading up to Everest, right? It was probably a few months, I would say, before
Training
right?
before Everest, yeah. So it was basically of the last 18 months that I was, climbing. So it was like October of 23, September of 24, and then just April and May of 25. So that was an 18-month period. I was in Nepal for like 5 months climbing.
Oh my goodness. That
and
explains
then,
why I didn't see it here.
And so the other, and so the other 13 months, I would try to do as much CrossFit as I could, like when I would get back from a trip, because it's fun for me, right?
Yeah.
It feels good to do CrossFit.
I'm sure
and
a 1 hour class feels different than a long hike, trek up a mountain.
And it's very lonely training for these mountains, because nobody wants to go with you to hike Camelback for 6 hours on a Sunday.
Right, yeah, that's true.
So it's more fun.
Yeah.
And so when I would get back from a trip, I would do CrossFit for as long as I possibly could.
Yeah.
So I had just enough time to do my mountain-specific training.
That makes sense. And that would like keep you, probably keep you in pretty darn good shape.
Yeah,
for once you get to the point
keep
that
me
you
in
need
decent
to.
shape. The endurance would fall off for sure.
Yeah.
But I could get that back pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, it probably kept a decent base of it, I'm sure. But yeah, once you got into the hiking again, it's so different. And once you're going for things like Everest and those, you said it was the 8,000 meter mark. Like, if that's that kind of dividing line, it's like, you're gonna really need to stay specific to that if you really want to be prepared and ready for it. So, what is so now, it was earlier this year that you get ready to hike Everest. What does the team that's with you look like? It's not just you with a bunch of stuff walking up a mountain, right?
So first of all, I'll say none of us paying clients would have a shot in hell of climbing Everest if it weren't for the locals, the Sherpa people, our guides, and the people who do the hard work. We just follow them up, right? We follow them up. We use the lines that they fix. And we use the oxygen that they put up on the mountain for us. We don't have to carry that up. We eat the food that they carry up there for us. And so it's not like I did anything nearly as difficult as Reinhold Messner or Sir Edmund Hillary or Tenzing Sherpa. What I did was a piece of cake compared to what they did.
Now, I'm just asking for a friend. I know who those people are. I don't know who those people are.
Yeah.
But you mentioned those names. Were those people?
So Hillary and Tenzing were the first two to summit Everest in the 40s, I think.
Oh, jeez.
And
so that was probably before I'm sure.
Yeah, it was back when they used to wear wool trousers and stuff like that. And their gear was very heavy, and they didn't have that's another thing. Our gear today is so advanced and so light and so much better. We have such an advantage. And then Reinhold Messner is, I think he's German. That sounds German, right?
Sounds German.
He was the first guy to climb all 14 8,000 meter peaks.
Oh, wow.
Without oxygen. So he's like OG. And a lot of people have done it since then.
Yeah. But it takes that first person breaking the seal.
He was the first guy.
Who was the goodness? Now I'm forgetting his name. Roger Bannister, right? The first 4-minute mile is like and now however many number of people have done it, but it takes somebody breaking that barrier to see to show that it's actually possible. Wow, that's wild. Okay.
Yeah. So
you've got you've got the guides, the Sherpas, everybody that's helping.
And then our team is consisted of mostly Americans and Russians. We had a guy from France, a gal from the country of Georgia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Another gal, there was a gal from Poland, she was only 19. She actually was the youngest female from Poland to summit Everest.
Really? That's awesome. That's really cool.
Who else did we have with us?
How does that
bunch
team,
of dudes
how
from
does that,
Colorado, believe it or not.
How does that team come together that you were involved with? How does that
We
work?
don't put it together, so we just, there's operators that run expedition services on the mountain.
Oh, okay.
And so you sign up with one of them, and so did all of these other people, and you all meet each other for the first time when you get to Kathmandu.
Oh, that's kind of nuts. And you're like, all right, everybody, team up. Time to go hike this thing.
Honestly, though, 4 of us were from Colorado. I mean, I'm not from Colorado, but I live there half of the year. Yeah. And there were 4 of us from Colorado. Like, I was pretty surprised.
Oh, that's funny. That's cool.
So, yeah. So I keep in touch with some of these guys still.
That's awesome. So then from base camp to the top of Everest, how long?
Well, once we got to base camp, it was like, for 5 weeks we were there before we actually summited. But it's not like we were slowly climbing the mountain. Most of the time was at base camp, and you would go up, and then you would come back, and you'd go up a little further and come back. And then there was a long, almost 2-week window where we were waiting for a weather window, where we could summit.
Oh, okay.
And that finally materialized around like the 14th or something of May.
Okay.
Which put us on the top at on May 18th.
Wow. So what did that feel like when you got to the top of it? I mean, that's,
Yeah,
tallest mountain in the world.
Yeah,
You've had all these
it was not what I expected, and so you'll want to edit this out. But I felt like I got away with something, that we should have all turned around, and that there was too many fucking people up there. And I actually I'll show you the video sometime, but I take my camera out and I'm like, okay, I'm at the top of Everest, and this is probably the stupidest fucking thing I ever did. We should have waited a day and gone the next day.
Was it
the crowds?
Oh,
Yeah.
there's too many people up there.
Yeah,
Okay.
so let me give you the dramatic pitch. I'm going to take you through, this is what I'm going to do on Wednesday.
Is this the notes? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do this on Wednesday. So
Matt is actually getting ready to do a presentation where he works about his experience climbing Everest. So we actually get a little bit of a dry run, a practice run, so to speak, of his speech. I've edited bits and pieces of it out that are specific to his work environment, just to keep this more specific to the lessons that we can learn from his experience, how he benefited from it, and the lessons that he's taking away that you can also take away and apply to your own.
we talked about the joke I was going to start with. So they say some people are more afraid of public speaking than of death, and I can relate to that, because I'd rather die climbing Mount Everest than to do public speaking. But as a mountaineer, I found that my growth as a mountaineer has been driven by 4 main factors, which are preparation, sacrifice, trust, and perseverance. As far as preparation goes, there's really 2 parts. And the first part is the long-term preparation, right? It's the, slowly building my experience and climbing successively higher and more technical peaks. It's not like I got off the couch one day and said, I'm going to go climb Mount Everest in May of 2025. That's not how it happened. I slowly accumulated experience, so that was the long-term preparation for me. Then there's short-term preparation. Short-term preparation is, what do you do specifically to climb that mountain?
Yeah.
And the way that looked for me was 6 days a week. I had Mondays off, average of 3 hours a day. So it was usually 15 to 18 hours a week. But there would be big days on the weekends, right? So I may only have to do an hour and a half on Tuesday, but Saturday might be 5 hours, and it could be doing laps on Camelback with a 40-pound pack.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that's the short-term training that you have to put in to climb big mountains, and it's a grind. That volume of training is naturally going to lead to the number 2 item, which is sacrifice, right? If I'm spending that much time training, I've got to sacrifice in other areas of my life, and To be honest, I haven't seen my wife much in the last 5 years. But she's okay with that. Not because she doesn't like me, but because she's been my biggest supporter. She was the one who helped me make the final decision to climb Mount Everest. That brings us to trust. In mountaineering, trust is paramount. I got to trust the ropes I'm going to hold. I've got to trust my hardware. I've got to trust the team that I'm climbing with. I've got to trust my guide, and I have to trust my prior experience. And then finally, perseverance. Perseverance is huge, and I want to walk you through Summit Day on Mount Everest. First of all, it's not glamorous. As we were getting to Camp 4, which is the final camp before you go for the summit, I had to step over the first deceased climber's body. And this was not somebody who had, died 10 years ago on the mountain and their body was still there. This gentleman was from the Philippines and he had summited the day before and he died on his way down.
Oh my goodness.
So that naturally rattled me.
Yeah.
And that was right before we went to the summit.
Jeez.
And we're at 26,000 feet. We're in the death zone at this point, which basically means your body is slowly dying while you're up there. You can't survive for very long.
So you got to get up to the top and back down.
Obviously, we're on oxygen. We start at 8 p.m., so it's already dark, and it's already cold, and there's already 100 to 150 other climbers in front of us, and I've got a picture to show that. So that immediately sparks some anxiety in me, right? We're going to be going slower, it's going to take longer, increases the risk of frostbite. I only have so much oxygen, and there's going to be a lot of standing around getting cold.
Yeah.
And so between that and seeing this recently deceased client, I'm already rattled as we're starting, but I put one foot in front of the other and start up the mountain. And 3 hours in, everything in my being is telling me to stop.
Yeah.
Right? Stop. You don't have what it takes. You're not going to be able to make it. You don't have anything left. You can't take another step, right? You're going to get frostbite. You're too old. You didn't train enough. All the negative talk.
All the voices.
Huh?
All the voices.
All the voices.
All the voices.
Right? But most of all is turn around or you're going to die.
Yeah.
That's that voice, right? You don't have enough energy to go any further. 11 hours later, I'm standing on the summit of Mount Everest. That is perseverance.
Yeah.
After we get to the summit, we'd have to spend 12 more hours to get back down to Camp 2. We're not allowed to stop at Camp 4 because it's too risky. If you fall asleep there, you could run out of oxygen or you might just die because, again, you're in the death zone. So
you've got to take it all the way back down a couple, even further down than where you got up.
What I learned about myself by climbing Mount Everest is that when my brain and everything inside of me is telling me that I don't have anything left in the tank, I probably still have 3/4 of a tank left.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing what the human body can do.
No, and it's like, you've been thinking about those 4 points, right? The preparation, sacrifice, trust, perseverance. I don't want to devalue the what it took to climb Everest. Taking those 4 and applying them to CrossFit and like going through the changes that it takes to be consistent in CrossFit, like all those 4 things apply, right?
They do.
They absolutely apply. And hopefully, I'm sure, through this story, you kind of shared some of it. We maybe didn't say it explicitly, but like those are things that I'm sure your time in a CrossFit gym, all those years leading up to that, helped solidify that.
Absolutely.
On top of the actual just specific experience of the mountains you climbed too.
Absolutely. I mean, all of that stuff you could transition on to CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
All 4 of those things.
It's beautiful.
Perseverance in a wad, right? Just pick up the bar.
Yeah.
One more time.
One more time. That's all you got to do.
Just
one more
time.
thruster, one more pull-up, whatever it is, right? Just like in Brand at one time. So, what would you say? Last question for you. If you could go back in time, I know you got to jump in class here. So, if you could go back in time, let's say to that, the younger version of you that was, smoking maybe right around the time that you decided to like, hey, I'm gonna set this New Year's resolution to quit smoking 6 months later. And you could give that version of you a piece of advice. Maybe he found out about CrossFit. I don't even know if but maybe he found out about CrossFit and was like, I don't know about that. And you could give him some advice, give a younger version of yourself some advice about whether to try it or not. What would you tell him?
So it's emotional for me to think about 52-year-old Matt talking to. I mean, I was fucked up, that young kid. But relating to CrossFit, I think I found it when I was supposed to, right? I don't think I would have took to it any earlier than I did, and I think it happened just exactly the way it was supposed to happen. But I can tell you that if I told my 32-year-old self, however old I was, what I was going to accomplish over the next 20 years, he wouldn't fucking believe it, right? That I'm doing CrossFit for almost 15 years, that I've scaled some of the world's tallest mountains.
Yeah.
He would have said, you're fucking out of your mind. There's no way, right? And I think that's awesome.
That's so cool.
I never would have thought of it.
Yeah.
Never would have thought of it in a million years. So.
And that goes back to the 4 things you mentioned, right? The perseverance, the sacrifice, the trust. That's
life.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for life.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Matt, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate your
give
story.
You that hug, man.
Absolutely. Come on in for the real thing. All right. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it, man.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing with a friend. To get notified of future episodes, please follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you can continue to hear these stories. For more behind-the-scenes content of everyday CrossFitters, follow on YouTube and Instagram at Silverback Media. Until next time, this has been the Silverback Media Podcast.